Great to have you with us. Now, human rights lawyer Francis Xavier Sosu says the current implementation of the free senior high school policy amounts to the abuse of the human rights of the students. Speaking to Joy News, he indicated the deplorable conditions under which some of the beneficiaries are studying undermine the quality they have access to. Mr. Sosu, though, admits the program may have increased enrollment.
The implementation has run into a lot of difficulties and problems because there are some of the schools where the beneficiaries are living in very, very precarious conditions. We've had several reports of some congestion in some of the classrooms. We've had reports of congestion in some of the dormitories, and the current state cannot guarantee the quality output that we would expect through the free SHS program. And remember that these kids are actually in competition with other children who probably are in other schools where they have, conditions not as, what they are experiencing. And at the end of the day, all of them are going to write the same exams. How can we be sure, or how can we really say for a fact that these children would do as well as children from other schools, well-endowed schools? So clearly, for the children who find themselves in this category where they are living in congestion, they don't have places, sometimes they have place of convenience, others have found problem with their dormitories where they would even bath and wash and all that. Clearly, their rights to education has been violated. And the reason is that education is a fundamental human right, because the enjoyment of quality education leads to the enjoyment of other rights, because when you are educated, you are empowered. However, if the kind of quality you get through education is affected by policies, by government, then we need to call government to account. Because whilst these children are the right holders, the government is the duty bearer to ensure that these children turn out well. And if the major policy or major intervention in education is leading to some people not benefiting fully from the kind of quality they deserve, then we can see that their rights have been abused to education.
Okay, so would you rather have them out of school or have them in school with these conditions? Because some of these conditions have been there, even when there was no free SHS or double track or green track system.
You are very correct. The truth is that when you look at the entire educational system of Ghana today, right from basic school to the senior high school, there are palpable violations of people. The only reason why, maybe it's not out there is because we haven't made a big deal out of it. If you travel across the districts in Ghana and look at the facilities in basic schools, clearly you can say that, look, these children, their right to education really has not been guaranteed, or is not guaranteed, or is not protected. So it's not about, we are not going to compare they being outside and being inside. What we need to talk about is the fact that by all means, we need to provide facilities for these children to go to school. And by all means, we must ensure that these facilities are adequate and are able to secure the full actualization of these rights of these children. So the government cannot say, well, because these children are many, we just have to put a program in place to just get them through. We are not just going to get them through. When you look at Article 12 of the 1992 Constitution, particularly Article 12.1, it says that the rights that are enshrined in the Constitution shall be respected and enforced by the government, the state, and its agencies. So the state has no excuse when it comes to the protection of the rights of these children. The state needs to take responsibility. It is good that the state has introduced free SHS that ensures that at least access is available, because many more children can then get opportunity to go to school. But that is not enough. As many of these children who are going, who find themselves in conditions that are unacceptable, we still need to talk about it, and government will have to be responsible about that.
So would you propose or prefer parents supporting this, because there's been proposals from that angle that parents should be able to support this cause? Government cannot bear it alone, even though we call it free SHS, because some of the parents can actually pay the fees or pay some kind of utilities for their children.
In fact, I definitely would propose that parents should support. And the reason why I'm making this proposal is that if the free SHS policy, had been thought out really well in terms of, holistically, looking at the numbers or the prospects and all that, this would have been considered. So it is very, very critical that parents participate in, in ensuring that, their children come out well. Why should it be that there are parents who are willing and able to pay, and the government say no, don't pay, and yet I'm unable to provide the kind of facilities that you need for the children to develop? Clearly, there is a disconnect there. So I think that the essence of these policy interventions are supposed to be targeted at the very poor and the very vulnerable. But if you implement the policy in such a way that those who are even able sit aloof and do not contribute anything, and yet you don't even have the financial wherewithal to be able to take care of the policy, then there is really a problem. So it's a call, I think, that is a genuine call, particularly in the wake of the international, celebration of the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, and considering the fact that education is a fundamental right. Look, it's so fundamental that if these children don't get the kind of education or the quality of education that we're talking about here, their outcome will be nothing to write home about. Meanwhile, these are the workforce for the future of this nation, and we cannot take it for granted.
Okay, so finally, do I see you taking this up in the courts?
Well, it is very dependent. It's just early this year. We are having a conversation. We're still looking at, what government response is going to be. I am rather looking forward to, what provisions have been made in the 2019 budget for education, particularly when throughout this year, the major concern of people have been about the implementation of the free SHS, and we've seen several videos of children really completely in very deplorable state. How much is government committing to the free SHS policy next year? It's important that we know. Unfortunately, we don't even have the right to information bill, a law that we can just go to court and say that, can you provide us with that information? But I think that the government owes explanation to the nation, particularly given the fact that it was one of their major flagship programs. Yes, implementation is going on. Once you have problems, we have to raise it, and they have to really account to the nation, how or what they are doing to resolve the issues that we've raised.
So we're not going to see you in court soon with the human rights?
It is possible. The Youth for Human Rights Africa really has an advocacy desk where we are considering this. We probably can consider a court action when we don't hear from the state.
Away from that, a dusk to dawn curfew was Monday imposed at Bole in the northern region following a chieftaincy clash. It killed at least one person and 3 people were injured. The decision to impose a curfew was communicated at about 5 p.m. when some residents of Bole were unaware. Adum News's Rebecca Natogma reports some residents are unhappy the curfew affects their dawn call to worship. She spoke earlier to Bernice Albedo Lanza.
What the residents have been telling me is that, especially this our area is a Muslim community. When it's time for prayers, they are really scared to go out there to pray, especially the morning and evening prayers. So now they are really living in fear. Those who are rather business tycoons in town, they all fear to come out because many of them, they trade in the night. But now that there is curfew, they don't know what to do. I've rather spoken to some students and parents. They are telling me that they are really sad about what is really happening. Because they are scared, they don't know the time they will go to school and pick their awards. Workers who are here, sometimes their children close around 4 or 5. And before they will go and pick them from school, it's almost 6. So now that there is curfew, they are just confused. And they rather want to prevent and protect their children at home than allowing them to be in school. Anything can happen around. But now that the securities are all around town, we have the fire service, we have the immigration, we have the soldiers, and other armed forces around.
Rebecca, are children going to school today?
Some children have gone to school, but as at the time I came out around 5 a.m., around 5 a.m. to monitor the school going boys. According to them, they told me they normally go to school 5:30 a.m. But unfortunately, because of the curfew imposed on them at 6 a.m., they couldn't go to school. I saw students going to school around 7 a.m., which was very late. I spoke with some teachers. They told me that they are also scared about the curfew. So students have to come to school around 7 a.m. instead of 6 p.m. or 5:30 p.m.
Now, the Northern Region Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Yusuf Tanko, who also spoke earlier to Bernice on Newsdesk, said residents are complying as they have received reinforcements to ensure clashes do not occur.
We have not recorded any negative incidents. People of Gole are weak and they are going about their legitimate activities without any hindrance. And the police and military are also on the ground trying to ensure security. So everything is okay as we speak.
You were expecting about 100 police officers in Tamale yesterday. Have they arrived?
Yeah, our men have arrived in Tamale. Some are going to Yendi. Others will be going to the Bole area. We are still expecting more who will be coming in the subsequent days.
DSP, have you made any arrests so far with regards to the clash that led to the killing of one and the injuring of three?
We have not been able to make an arrest yet. What we are doing now is to stabilize the situation, make sure we stop the violence that erupted yesterday. From there, we will move on to look for the perpetrators and have them arrested. You know, it happened at night, and the perpetrators are not somewhere where we know, and we are going to pick them. We are now going to institute investigations into it. A lot of intelligence will be needed to go into it, and after we've been able to identify them, then we'll move in to arrest them so that they will assist in further investigations.
To the Ashanti region now, one of the biggest happenings of the day, and a part of the ceiling at the Kumasi City Mall has caved in Tuesday morning. According to Insura FM's Nana Asensu-Mensah, the ceiling at the section that houses the game shop collapsed shortly before the scheduled time for the shop to open. There were no casualties.
So it's 9:40 a.m. here at the Kumasi City Mall. On a normal day, this place is very busy, but this time it's not happening because section of the ceiling has caved in, and the main access routes to the Kumasi Mall have been locked down. Eyewitnesses say the incident occurred around 7:30 a.m., 2.5 hours to opening time. The main access point and other routes to the mall have been closed to the public, while reconstruction and other cleaning of the debris is underway. There is heavy police and NADMO personnel presence at the scene, helping to maintain law and order. Kwabinan Century is Regional NADMO Director.
Actually, we are here to assess the situation, so after assessment, we give you the feedback. Really, we can't say this is a disaster because it's just the canopy that came down. But anything can happen. It's not about breaking of pillars or maybe some of the. This is not something that is serious. We are almost done. We are just trying to educate everybody. Should be careful. I have a lot of men outside there. They have been educating people.
Meanwhile, patrons are concerned about safety and want the structural integrity of the mall to be accessed. Nana Asensu-Mensah reporting.
Now, what source at the management level tells us that what really collapsed was a canopy that is there to absorb heat in the building, and they say that they came to assess the collapse after it happened, and now the mall has been able to open. They are saying that the mall was open some 20 minutes after the mess was cleared. Let's move to other issues now. The Ghana Geological Survey Authority is asking Ghanaians to put up earthquake-resistant buildings. Senior seismologist Nicholas Opoku says this is one sure way to prevent a disaster should an earthquake occur. He says property owners should contact the Seismological Observatory for the needed assistance to forestall danger. He's been speaking to Kojo Yangson.
Just enough putting a polygon on a piece of land given to people to develop. You should understand the geo-information in that ground, whether it is safe for people to develop there. So we make all these informations available to the relevant authorities to make use of them.
When you say relevant authorities,
we should build structures that are resistant. If the structures are resistant, earthquake occurs and it doesn't damage, we are safe. If we analyze the level of the seismicity in your area, maybe you may have a lower level of seismicity, so you can design, reinforce it to resist it at a moderate cost. And it's not always just about the money, it's just about paying attention to certain details in your design. As I said, the shear wave comes, they shape the building, so sometimes how you brace your building helps it to resist this shear motion of the ground. Okay.
Is it possible?
And also, somebody can even see some places it's very difficult. Even I learned in some other countries in Europe where there are earthquakes, but some areas they even build wooden structures.
That is better for earthquakes.
That is better, and that is not expensive. So when we are saying building earthquake-resistant structures, it does not only mean putting in so much money to reinforce. You can even reinforce, but a big earthquake will have an energy that can even collapse it.
Still watching Joy News today. Now, Sadra branded tricycles meant for poverty alleviation programs, which have been rusting away in the open compound of the Public Works Department at Bolgatanga, could be worked on and sold to individuals at a moderate price. This is according to the 5-member ad hoc committee of the Northern Development Authority, who have been on a working visit to the Upper East region. The committee also wants the individuals who procure tricycles on hire purchase basis under the Savannah Accelerated Development Association, Sadra, have until the end of December to complete payment or face possible prosecution. Here's a report by Upper East Regional correspondent Albert Sori.
The Sadra branded tricycles, numbering at least 38, have been left here in the open compound of the Public Workers Department in Bolgatanga since the year 2016. According to Chairman of the Northern Development Authority's Ad Hoc Committee, Boniface Gambila, the tricycles were meant to be given to farmers at subsidized cost as part of a poverty alleviation strategy under the NDC government's Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, SADA. However, not all the tricycles were distributed before the 2016 election, which led to a change in government.
The issue is there was a good program, a laudable program, to help farmers under a PPP arrangement. So if the PPP arrangement didn't go well, it's not about the chief executive or the board. It has happened. That is how we are here as a board. Maybe other things will happen before you know, then you can then move in. It wasn't a deliberate thing to form the PPP, bring the things and throw away. It wasn't deliberate.
He said over 2,000 of the tricycles were procured by individuals, either by direct purchase or on hire purchase basis, across the Northern, Upper East and Upper West regions. But up to now, many of the people who took the tricycles have not fully paid for them.
So we do not want these things wasted. People have bought them, and we want to make sure they come and pay. If they don't pay, the police, the military, the law courts will go after them. But as a customer and client business relationship, we are going to contact them directly on their lines, contact them through the radio or the media as a whole, to tell them to come and pay for what they procured, either on the direct purchase or under hire purchase.
Under this MPP government, Sadra has been rechristened the Northern Development Authority, NDA. Mr. Gambila indicated that the ad hoc committee of the NDA, which he chairs, is assessing the current situation of the authority since there has been a transition of government. He added that once the assessments are concluded, the NDA will roll out its new plans and will consider repairing these tricycles and selling them at moderate prices to interested persons.
So far, we have about 2,100 tricycles left to be distributed, and that is big money. The other challenge we thinking we are going to face is that when these things were procured, we realized they were overpriced as compared with the open market. So the chaps rushed to buy them, food soldiers, NTC food soldiers. They thought it was a favor. But underground, the project known as the PPP, called Unique Savannah, actually overpriced them.
For Joy News, Albert Sori, reporting from Bolgatanga.
Joy News today with me, Daniel Dazen. Now, 2.5 years ago, 6-year-old Jeremiah Arthur went to school very fit and healthy, but he could not return home that day. A vehicle driven by a 62-year-old woman veered off the road and entered the Garrison Basic School in Takrady, crushing the boy against a wall. When it was all over, the boy's leg was found lying under the vehicle. In this week's Joy News Hotline documentary, Manasseh Azuri Awuni traces the accident and reveals the difficulty Jerry and his family are going through.
It is 4:20 a.m. and many in the national capital are still in bed. But 8-year-old Jeremiah Arthur and his mother, Betty Mensah, are already here at the 37 Military Hospital. On this day, they would not see a doctor until after 8 a.m., about 4 hours from now. Jerry and his mother left Takrady at midnight by bus. This means it will take them at least 8 hours from the time they left home to when they will finally see a doctor. Anytime they have to come to the hospital, they travel at night in order to be in the right position of the long queue of patients. There is no sleep for them on such occasions. The reason Jerry is still sleeping on the wooden bench in front of the surgical OPD. After securing her place in the queue, Jerry's mother heads for the X-ray laboratory. She must do this before daylight brings with it another long queue that will delay their turn to see a medical doctor. Previous experiences have taught her that an X-ray is a predictable ritual of Jerry's medical review. Jerry and his mother came to the hospital with only what they wore because they thought they would be done by midday and return to Takrady. But the doctors decided otherwise. Jerry would have to undergo another surgery, which is scheduled for the following day, Friday, January 5th, 2018. He's admitted to the Nkrumah ward, a ward he's very familiar with.
They say you go for surgery. How do you feel about that?
Nothing.
You don't feel anything about the surgery?
Me who doctor no kwa na me machine. Okwa surgery na oba. Enye yi. Besusa yemiya. Besusa.
Jerry has lost his left leg. The crude amputation took almost all his thigh. The surgery was to be performed on the remaining leg, which can be described as a half leg. All the toes except the big toe are missing. The part of the remaining leg between the knee and the foot looks like a PVC pipe caught midway by fire and salvaged just in time before that portion melts completely. Apart from the scars below his knee and on his thigh, the bones in this remaining leg are fractured, a reason Jerry was to undergo the surgery. That surgery did not happen the following day as promised due to the shortage of oxygen. It was rescheduled to the following Friday, and Jerry would have to spend another week after that before being discharged. A Ghana Air Force plane was flying from Accra to Takoradi on the day Jerry was discharged, so the Garrison Education Unit arranged to have them on board. Jeremiah Arthur and his family were hit by a crude disruption to their lives on June 2nd, 2016, when a 62-year-old woman entered Jerry's school compound in Takoradi with a Toyota Corolla and crushed the 6-year-old boy against a wall.
A Toyota saloon car came from this direction.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And that's actually a slope.
Yes, this direction.
Okay.
The driver was a woman. She actually got her way all right. Okay. Came and joined the main route.
Okay.
Let me show you here.
Is the main road?
This is the main route that is leading to Beach Road Township.
Okay.
So she got here, turn right.
This way?
This way.
Okay.
She got her turning all right.
Okay.
Then few meters, precisely here.
Okay.
What happened? She veered off again.
Okay.
Turning 90 degrees this way and jumped over this big gutter. But then this fence wall wasn't there.
Okay.
She jumped off this gutter and climbed onto the platform. Okay. Let me show you what happened exactly. The set Jeremiah Atta got here. There was one course on this.
Okay. That's
Jeremiah Atta, yes, Jeremiah Atta got here, and one foot in, one foot was still hanging, and the car hit the hanging foot against the wall. The car hit the hanging leg against the wall, and I suspect the woman was stepping on accelerator thinking it was brake, so there was more pressure. Eventually it cannot push this very wall, so the leg was still in between the wall and the car until the leg auto chopped off.
Catch the rest of A Boy's Wish on Hotline documentary airing tonight on the Joy News channel. But it's now time for business. Sadra Esenamafenu joins me shortly, and in the bulletin, the National Insurance Commission NIC is arresting commercial property owners for not insuring the buildings. She has the rest of the details.